Yes. Shall I go?
Yes.
Chris, I'm about to reveal today's mystery guest. After which you'll be required to conduct an interesting, stimulating, and if it calls for it, humorous 3-minute interview without any prior knowledge of the subject. Good luck, my friend. Chris, yesterday Lynn was questioning whether you'd been to school at all following your struggles with the basics of English grammar.
All right.
Your mystery guest today can not only prove you went to school, he can take you back to a memorable moment in your life. In 1976, he was but a humble student teacher.
I know who this is. This is Mr. Hilditch.
At St Margaret's Primary School in Warrington.
Is it Mr. Hilditch?
You were an enthusiastic 10-year-old.
It's
He
Mr.
took you
Hilditch.
and your class on a trip to a bread factory.
This is Mr. Hilditch.
34 years on, he's a head teacher. Chris, your mystery guest today is your former junior school teacher, Phil Hilditch.
Oh, good morning. I can't call him Phil. I've got to call him Mr. Hilditch. Good morning, Mr. Hilditch.
Good morning, Christopher. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well.
So, listen, do you remember those days at St Margaret's as well as I do?
I do, Christopher. I have fond memories of them.
That was brilliant. You were there for, what, a week or 2 weeks?
No, I was there for 6 weeks,
All right.
actually. It was my final teaching practice.
And did it stand you in good stead?
Yes, it did, because now I'm a head teacher of my local primary school.
Whereabouts
it
is
kept me in
that?
very good stead.
Whereabouts are you in the world?
This is in Davenham, between Northwich and Winsford, in mid-Cheshire.
All right.
So I didn't travel far, actually.
Did you just teach our class? I can't remember. You took us on that brilliant
I know.
field trip to the bread factory.
I know, to Robert's Bakery.
Robert's
I did, absolutely.
That was
and that was
such
the
a
first
great
sort of
day out.
visit I'd been on. And I remember you because you were a very lively, bright boy, obviously. sandy-haired, and very, very confident.
Yeah.
And we went round the bakery, and you were absolutely awestruck. You never opened your mouth, I don't think.
Yeah, I know. Well,
You were absolutely taken in by it all.
and we were given free bread, weren't we?
That's right.
To
they
take
gave you a
home.
loaf at the end. Yeah, that was Robert's Bakery, which is obviously near Davenham in Northwich.
Yeah, it was any field trip you come home with a bigger packed lunch than you went with. And you worked there, didn't you, for a while?
I did. I worked part-time there whilst I was at college. Well, in actual fact, in the end, Chris, I worked there for about 11 years before I got married. And it was good. I worked Friday nights and Sundays, and, of course, double time on a Sunday, so that was great.
So, listen, I talked about blackboards the other day, and
Yeah.
They're not a factor anymore, are they? They're not a
Not at
feature.
all, Chris, no. No, all to do with health and safety. In actual fact, we've moved on from whiteboards as well, because now we're on to interactive whiteboards, and everything is instant, obviously, off the computer.
What about how does it? Because you remember we had a great climbing frame at St Margaret's.
Yeah, in fact, I've got a tale about that climbing frame.
Okay.
It was your centenary, I think.
Yeah.
It was the centenary of the school, because one side of the school was blocked off. I think it'd been condemned or something.
Right.
It was a very, very old school at that side. And I was asked if I would put together something for the centenary. And I remember you in a bowler hat and a long black coat, so I don't know what role you played.
Please tell me you're making this bit up now.
No, I'm not, Christopher. I wouldn't dream of making it up. And I remember you. I've got this memory of you whilst I was doing this artwork on
Yeah.
these huge boards, which I think was a piece of charcoal work on the front of the school. And I remember you sitting on those climbing frames in this top hat
Yeah.
and this long tailcoat. And I can't remember what part you had. You could have had the part of the schoolmaster.
Are you sure we weren't remaking Clockwork Orange
Well,
at
we
the
could
time?
have done, actually, yes. That would have been a nice idea. I'd have made some money out of that then, wouldn't I?
Now, listen, it's great to talk to you again. I'm glad you still... Obviously, you were a brilliant teacher.
That's what I believe, yes.
that's why you
nice,
stuck
Chris.
out in my
That's lovely
mind.
for you to say that.
And but you were rubbish at refereeing.
A referee,
Right.
that's right.
Because
on the field at the side.
I wrote a song about you. Do you remember?
You did, yeah.
Do you want me to sing it to you?
I'd love you to sing it.
Okay,
Have you got the tune?
Yeah, I know exactly what the tune was.
I would love you to sing
Okay.
it to me,
It
Chris.
goes, Mr. Hilditch. I sang this on his last day.
Right.
Mr. Hilditch, we think that thee is no good at being referee. The only thing you're good at is making bread. Also, we'd like to thank you for giving us such a lot to do. Mr. Hilditch, we love you, and goodbye.
Phenomenal, Chris. Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's still there.
Phenomenal.
Could have been a hit, could have been a player. Listen, come and see us, Phil.
I'd love to.
Come and
Chris.
spend the morning with us.
I'd love to.
Great to see you.
Absolutely fantastic.
Bye-bye.
Lovely to speak to you.
Top man. He was a brilliant teacher. Tenuous, Mr. Hilditch.
It is Mr. Hilditch.
It's going to be Beyonce, but it's my former teacher, Mr. Hilditch. He's the star. Johnny Saunders is the voice.
In at number 10, it's Ian. Hi, Chris. I used to make bouquets of flowers for both Mr. Hilditch and the Roberts Bakery. Mr. Hilditch is a really lovely man. At number 9, it's Sylvia in Edinburgh. I used to see Mr. Hilditch's school from the window of the Bull's Head pub right opposite where I worked in Davenham. At number 8, it's Graham. A person in my office used to supply TFI Friday with safety signs, and she was invited onto your show, and you are a former pupil of his. At 7, it's Susan. I once had a supply teacher called Mr. Williams, for whom I wrote a farewell song not dissimilar to the one that Chris wrote for Mr. Hilditch. At 6, it's Debbie in Salisbury. Davenham School, where Mr. Hilditch is now head teacher, was my first ever school. At 5, it's Catherine. We drive past the bakery that Mr. Hilditch took you to every time we take our dog for a walk. At 4, it's Sam. Chris, I'm on my way to work on the business park with Roberts Bakery, which is where Mr. Hilditch used to work. At 3, it's Sal. I have recently started a job on Gadbrook Park in Northwich, which is next to the bread factory that Mr. Hilditch took Chris to. At number 2, it's Nikki. My son and daughter were taught by Mrs. Helen Hilditch, wife of Phil Hilditch.
Wow.
He also opened the local carnival when my niece was carnival queen. And at number 1, it's Katie. My son is at school with a girl who is a daughter of the Roberts family who owned the bakery where Mr. Hilditch worked.
All right, Johnny Saunders, Mr. Hilditch, top 10 is my favourite ever. In the few years we've been doing that, but I've got to give a wrong bung to number 5.
Why?
Not to you, to number 5. Just read number 5 out again.
From Catherine, we drive past the bakery that Mr. Hilditch took you to every time we take our dog for a walk.
How can they drive past if they're taking the dog for a walk?
Good point.
Yeah. Yeah, are they driving to the walk? Are they that type of family?
The mama pajama rolled out of bed.